Okay, so moving right along into match 2. I believe this round we played against Red-Black Aggro, which I have had a really good matchup against so far. Have found it to be a pretty easy matchup. It is a little bit scary that they have so much burn in their deck. So game 1, it is possible to get burned out because we have limited counter spells. And a lot of Void Shatters, which don't line up very well against counter spells. So I think, okay. So not that worried about this Bomat Courier yet, and since I have other things to do with my mana, I hold on to it. You really want to be able to kill their Copters, and Harness Lightning is the only thing that straight up kills a Copter against their deck. Okay, so here's Copter. Bomat Courier charging up is not a huge deal at this point because he still has a bunch of cards in his hand, so we're still doing okay. Played the hub here because we might want to discard the island to catalog, although we'll probably discard take inventory. Like, yeah. Okay, so Scrounger comes down, he crews the Copter, we zap the Copter, and then things are looking really good. Yeah. So we have a bunch of card draw in our hand and a bunch of breathing room to be able to cast them. So at this point we're kind of digging for either a tower or some Dark Dwellers / Gear Hulks to just really put a pin in this. So Glimmer. Okay, more removal, keep us alive. Boom, here we go. So we found our tower. I bottomed the land there because since we didn't already have a Gear Hulk, I just wanted to, you know, there's a lot of lands in the deck. You don't, I didn't have anything I was specifically building towards, so I was comfortable bottoming it. And we got rewarded by drawing the tower off of it, which was probably the best card that we could have drawn in that situation, especially since we knew we were getting the bombardment. Okay, so in game 1, against matchups like this, if we draw 4 out of our 8 burn spells in the deck this early, then it's going to be a pretty good, a pretty easy match. So he's going to bring back the Scrounger here. We're probably just going to zap it down. Yeah, he's stuck on lands, so even though he has Scrounger and a bunch of gas, like, we're completely fine trading cards for his tempo. Oh, okay, Bushwhacker comes down. I think we end up killing the Bushwhacker here instead of the Scrounger. I don't remember. Okay, so we're just trying to keep our life total high. At this point, since we have the Gear Hulk in our hand now, we start digging for lands. I think we take the take inventory, since that would be number 2. Try to dig for more lands. If we took the land there, then we don't get another spell this turn, and with the tower in play, you really just want to be maximizing on spells. Okay, so Essence Flux looks like it's going to be real good this game. Okay, he's got the Bomat Courier. He's still got a whole bunch of cards in his hand, so the Courier is not that threatening at this point. Like, we're completely fine taking 1 or 2 damage a turn here, while we're just charging our tower and building towards our end game. Okay, so he's nugging me, which means he's probably got a bunch of other burn in his hand. So I think I just run out the Dwellers, kill his Courier, and then since he probably has Unlicensed Disintegration in his hand, I killed his artifact on my turn. So drawing that Void Shatter basically closes the game out because we're 1 burn spell away from dying, but having the counter spell and the Gear Hulk and the Essence Flux means that there's 0 chance that we're going to get burned out with him only at 4. Case, yeah, only having 4 lands. So we couldn't use our mana there because he could just, in response, Fiery Temper us. If we already had a counterspell in our graveyard, then we could have cataloged there and held up Essence Flux to Essence Flux and counter his burn spell. But at this point, we're just trying to make sure that we're not going to die. So I think he goes for the upkeep Fiery Temper, which we get to counter. And then we still have a counter up because Essence Flux is essentially holding up a counter. So yeah, if he has like 2 more burn spells in his hand, then this game is going to get a little spicy. But basically, we get to catalog here. I think he goes for the burn spell and then scoops to the Essence Flux. Yeah. So Essence Flux is a one-of. It doesn't do anything in the early game, like stone nothing in the early game, but it, like in the late game like this, it really gives you a lot of tempo. Yeah, get to draw 3 cards, play our second tower, hold up Void Shatter. Yeah. Like if his last 2 cards are Incendiary Flow, then we lose, but at this point there's not much that can kill us. I think he made that play with an Unlicensed Disintegration in his hand and then realized he didn't have a second black, so we won this game. This game too is actually really interesting, so we'll move on to that. So first of all, here's how I sideboarded. I brought in the reservoirs here. I don't always bring them in against red-black. I wanted to try them out here. So what I did was I cut the expensive counter spells in favor of 1 more negate and rebuff not hitting the high percentage of artifacts in the deck. Cut those as well. Brought in the Weavers. And let's see. Brought in the Weavers, the Radiant Flames, the Incendiary Flows, and the Reservoirs. Since this deck has so much burn, it makes sense to have the Reservoirs because it can just lock the game up. So, like, Reservoir is a 4-mana do-nothing in the early game, so it is possible that if you're behind and you have it, it's really bad, but it does help us stabilize. So I brought them in here. This game actually goes on for a really long time. So I mulliganed that all island hand. Didn't have any early interaction. I'm on the draw, so I think I keep this one and just try to... Oh no, I mulliganed. Really wanted a red source. Okay, so I keep the 5. This is actually a fine 5. I keep the take inventory because if I'm going to win this game, I need to catch back up on cards, and having a take inventory makes all the other take inventories better to catch me up on cards. And yeah, I think, okay, so I'm not worried about the Inventor's Apprentice. I just go for the early take inventory. Get to catch this Scrounger with Incendiary Flow, which is huge. And then he has his Key to the City, which is going to do a ton of work this game, because this game is really weird. We're just stuck on mana, can't cast anything, we're holding up negate, he's not using his mana, casting too much because he is drawing cards with Key to the City. So we're just taking a beating, didn't get to use our mana that turn, feeling really bad about this game. Drew interaction, which is nice, but he's just going to be doming us and then drawing cards to find relevant things. Yeah, being at 8 with two lands in play, I'm feeling real bad about. So he took Weaver, which I think taking that or Tower is correct. But he took Weaver, I guess. I think taking Tower is correct here because Weaver can't block with Key to the City, which... Oh, and he had an Unlicensed Disintegration in his hand. I think he for sure should have taken the Tower here. But hey, I'll take it. So this Galvanic Bombardment can't kill his Curd Ape, so we just have to throw Harness Lightning at it. We're just 1-for-1ing him here. While we're tapped out, he knows we have Negate in our hand, so while we're tapped out, he throws a Fiery Temper at us, gets a free card. Still haven't drawn our third land. But here he is, he keeps drawing cards. Didn't get to use our mana that turn. There's our third land. We're at 5, so, and I have Interaction in my hand, so I didn't want to play Dynavolt Tower and then like give him Bomat Courier triggers and stuff like that. Oh, here, so, and I have Catalog in my hand, and I really want to get to more lands, so tapping out for Tower there was not the line that we wanted to take. He just doesn't have any creatures. So killing that Scrounger early, getting to exile it early, was huge. So we finally start drawing more lands. We're at 5 though, so, and he's just drawing cards galore. Plays Smuggler's Copter, which gives us a little bit of breathing room here. To play Glimmer. I think we keep both of those, yep. So now we're going to start pulling back ahead on cards. I think we actually take this opportunity to play Tower, yep. So getting the Tower in play, can activate it after we play a burn spell, so even if he has like a Bomat Courier here, we can still keep up on tempo. Yeah, like if this were a Weaver of Lightning right now, I would not have tapped out there for it, like we would have been in a lot of trouble. Okay, so he doesn't want to give us the Copter here, so he's just attacking with the 2 creatures. In response, Harness Lightning the Bushwhacker, so that he can't sack his Bomat Courier in response, because we want the energy. The energy is very relevant here. And then we zap down the Bomat Courier with the trigger on the stack so he doesn't get a card. And this game is looking really good. He already used 3 burn spells. And yeah, we have a bunch of removal in our hand. Like, this matchup is pretty easy when you draw removal like we have been. Let's see, we've drawn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 out of our 10 removal spells, plus a Tower. So even though we didn't hit our third land until like turn 7 or something absurd like that, like we're still very much in this game. In fact, we've pretty much taken control of this game at this point. Let them come at us. Zap it down. Want to take this opportunity to cast Catalog. Okay, so play the Dynavolt Tower here instead of Weaver because he could have Unlicensed Disintegration in his hand, and just getting procs off of the Tower is better than getting procs off the Weaver when his board is under control like this, because we can stockpile the energy, but we can't stockpile the Weaver triggers. So yeah, like all of his small creatures are just completely useless against our board of 2 towers. The Lord of the Rings, the Lord of the Towers. Yeah, he's just saving cards in his hand. We're playing Draw Go. Like he is drawing a ton of cards, so it is possible that he draws into like 3 burn spells. But like a number of those burn spells are going to be unlicensed disintegrations, so I'm not wanting to play out creatures just yet. And here's take inventory for 3. This might have been greedy. playing the second take, or the take inventory for 4, needing to discard 2 cards, was definitely greedy. Probably should have waited, because now I have to discard 2 cards. So I discard the Weaver because I don't want to turn on his unlicensed disintegrations. But we've got 2 towers charged up here. It's going to be really hard for him to get any sort of board presence. So we get to zap down the copter. That's fine. He can come in with the Scrounger. That's fine. And that's it. So we get to catalog. Oh no, I don't catalog because I want to hold up mana for a negate. Okay, so I do play the Reservoir here. And then... so he brings back the Scrounger. Discards Unlicensed Disintegration. So it was correct not to play the Weaver, because he was sandbagging the Unlicensed Disintegrations. And then I think this is the turn that he concedes. So he goes for the burn spell, and now we get to go off with the Reservoir. So the trick with the Reservoir is if you keep the trigger on the stack and then cast more spells, when the trigger resolves, it checks for all the spells that were cast. So we keep this trigger on the stack, cast spell number 2, which puts another trigger on the stack, and then cast spell number 3, which puts another trigger on the stack. So this effectively gained us a bunch of energy, and we gained 9 life this turn. So yeah, like all of his outs, he was playing to burn spells the whole game. Reservoir really shut the door on him. And this was a really, really weird game, but it worked out. Yeah. And then Dark Dwellers on Take Inventory to gain a whole bunch more life. Draw 4 cards. Yeah, and then this is when he concedes. Yeah. So this deck actually started out as a Reservoir deck. I was playing that blue-white Reservoir deck. Felt like the blue-white matchup was unsalvageable. So I built this deck with Reservoir in the main deck to try to see if it made the green-black matchup good, because the blue-white deck had a good green-black matchup. Realized that Take Inventory put this strategy over green-black in often enough without Reservoir, that I just moved the Reservoirs to the board. But the deck does just kind of naturally take advantage of it. You can put a bunch of spells on the stack at once, especially with Essence Flux, which we didn't draw this game. But yeah, Reservoir did some work, and I've been happy with it. So thanks for watching. See you for round 3.